Hey everyone, this is Professor Eskew. I just wanted to go over discussion board 2 with you and talk about it a little bit and give you some feedback. So if you remember, this was Candace and she was having issues with her negative environment in her workplace, talking about this with her sister, and her sister laughed and said, well, this um, is typical you, Candace. You're always blaming everybody else for things that you say that you can't control. So one of the first questions on the discussion board was, what was the basic problem at the workplace? And I was really pleased to see all of the different theories and the polling of information out of the book, talking about self-esteem, environment, being should be able to make yourself happy. And those things were right on the money. Basically, Candace was letting her own attitude um, get influenced by others' attitude. And the key here is that even though she cannot change her coworkers' attitudes, she clearly can change her own through different methods and practices. So good job on that one. The second one was, who is really responsible for Candace's attitudes, herself or her coworkers? And can she do anything to change a more positive attitude? And again, the answer to that is Candace is a grown person. She's responsible for her own actions, attitudes, and mindsets. Uh, However, things that she could do to get a more positive attitude is simply be positive. Keep positive thoughts, keep those going around. One of the things I share in my personal finance classes, I literally take post-it notes and write positive affirmations to myself, and I have them posted all over the mirror in my bathroom. And every morning, as I'm preparing for work or preparing for the day, I read every single one of those to me. It gives me a positive mindset. It gives me a great outlook. It reminds me that I am all that in a bag of chips. And so I do it for that very reason. She also needs to make sure that she's not up in everybody else's business. In other words, she shouldn't be letting other people's negative attitude influence hers. She should look for the good qualities in herself. She should look for the qualities that are positive in others, and also her organization. What are the things that we are doing right? What are the things that we're doing well? What are the things my coworkers are doing well? A great example of that is I have a coworker who I am very outgoing, gregarious. I'm a doer, and one of my coworkers is quiet and analytical and is a great problem solver, but not real outgoing. And once I realized that those were her positive qualities, we were able to work together much better. I knew what things she was excelled at, and so we let her do those things, and those things that I excel at, um, I do those things. So looking for the positive in everything is great. Uh, get feedback. So don't be afraid. Candace did ask her sister, but if you're asking for feedback and honest feedback, don't be offended when you receive that. Take it in as constructive criticism or the ideas, and ask, how does that frame and how does that filter through and look in my life? Other things, make sure that you're goal oriented. So do that SMART goal, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive. So create goals for yourself. You should be doing that constantly. The last question was, if Kansas works at the same place without doing anything about her problem, what would be her long-term outcomes? There were a wide variety of responses to this, and there was some good discussion. But bottom line is, if she maintains a negative attitude or a negative mindset, it's going to impact her self-esteem, it's going to impact her performance, and ultimately it's going to impact her relationships. So overall, you all did a really great job on the discussion boards, but I want to give you some feedback, some things to think about. If you didn't score all the points, here are some things that you want to make sure that you are doing for the next discussion board. So one of those things is in your initial post, make sure that you are either quoting or referencing material that's either found in the textbook or supplemental materials that I've provided, or do your own research. That would be awesome, and bring that in. So make sure, though, when you use that information that you quote it or reference it, but you also make sure that you give the correct reference or citation at the bottom of your discussion. Second thing, remember that you are required to do 3 classmate responses, not 2, 3. And so some of you were deducted for that. Due dates. If you do everything on the exact due date, especially the response to your classmate, you're not giving your other classmates an opportunity to respond to your response. So although there's a due date, you want to post before the due date to generate discussion, okay? Otherwise, if you do it on just the due dates, you're losing some points. Great suggestion. You need to think about printing that rubric that I use. So it's right in the discussion board. There's the discussion board prompt and the directions. Then there is the rubric. And then there's an example response, both your initial response and a response to your classmates. Print those off and use those as your guide, and especially the rubric, because the rubric will tell you exactly how to score the maximum amount of points. So use that to your advantage. That's why I put it out there for you. One last thing. I'm going to be a little more rigid on grammar and spelling. So my suggestion to you, as you're doing responses, type it in either Word or some other word processor or WordPad where you can do spell check. You should be able to do spell check within the discussion board yourself, but that's going to do just spelling, as it'll do maybe a little bit of grammar, but it's primarily there for spell check. So make sure that you're doing that to get the maximum amount of points. Other than that, you guys really did a great job. I'm hoping to get out there on the discussion board this weekend to work on your 3rd discussion board and participate myself. And so I look forward to reading your responses to the next case study. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me through email, and we'll be talking to you real soon. Have a great day.